My name is Adam Andrzejewski, and I'm the founder and CEO of OpenTheBooks.com. And you know our mission at OpenTheBooks.com. It's to post every dime online in real time so you can follow the money, so you can hold the political class accountable for tax and spend decisions. And last year we filed 47,000 Freedom of Information Act requests, and we captured nearly $12 trillion worth of federal, state, and local spending. And it's a treasure trove of data. And so here on the ripoff of the week, today on Thursday, we're going to talk about just one example that's in our database. And it's an example that comes from some good bipartisan rulemaking that spans the Trump administration and the Biden administration. Rarely do you have an opportunity to talk about bipartisan healthcare reform, and that's what we're going to do today. And of course, there is a ripoff in it. So what are we talking about? Donald Trump, his administration, they had the great idea for the first time in our nation's history to mandate healthcare price disclosure, transparency when you need a medical procedure, when you have to go to the hospital or the doctor to know the price ahead of time on what you're going to pay. You see, hospitals and doctors, they're notorious for surprise billings, for price gouging. Many times there's a near monopoly in your local area, and if you don't know the price going in, you could be taken advantage of, and many people are. And so the Trump administration said, open the books on hospital pricing, on the costs and prices of medical procedures. And look, this would not be revolutionary if this was at the grocery store or at the gas station. You'd never buy a loaf of bread, milk. You'd never fill your tank up with gas at the pump if you didn't know the price in advance. But the hospitals, they went crazy. You know, at OpenTheBooks.com, as subscribers, you've had a big stake in this rule. In 2019, in the fall of 2019, and in early 2020, we poured 2,000 comments into Health and Human Services to backstop President Trump's attempt to institute this healthcare price transparency rule. You had a big effect on this rule being finalized in the Biden administration. They didn't fight it, they finalized it. And so this is what we call the Trump-Biden healthcare reform, nonpartisan. Okay, the hospitals, they went crazy. They sued to stop this rule. They lost in federal court. And so then there's an organization called Patient Rights Advocate, and they did a study 1 year after the rule was finalized, just how many of the hospitals were complying, posting their prices. And it's extraordinary. 86% of hospitals, a year after the rule was implemented, they're not following the rule. They're not posting their prices. They're not showing you how much the procedures are going to cost. And so we just put up this investigation at our openthebooks.com.substack.com account. At Substack, open the books, sign up for it. We put a deep dive, 1,600 word investigation up on this. So what's happening? You know, the three major hospital chains, the three largest in the country, last year they made $120 billion. And only 2 out of 361 of their hospitals showed their prices. They complied with the transparency price rule. They had price disclosure. That's less than 1% of their hospitals while they racked up $120 billion. Here's the analogy. That's like playing a baseball game with one team blindfolded. That's you and I, the patients. And the other teams, the hospitals, and they're running up the score at will, making billions of dollars and not disclosing their prices to you and violating this mandatory rule on healthcare price disclosure. All right, so what can be done about it? Well, we reached out to the Biden administration. It's a year after the rule was finalized. You know, only 14% of hospitals are in compliance with this rule. So what's being done about it? And we found that the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid, CMS, they're responsible for implementing the rule. And lo and behold, they've issued 0 fines. So the Trump administration had the vision to get this rule going. The Biden administration has issued 0 fines after a full year, with the vast majority of hospitals not in compliance. So we need to raise our voice. We need to raise our voice with our member of Congress so they can hold hearings and hold the Biden administration accountable on bringing these hospitals in compliance. Show us the health care prices. Show us the prices before we go into services, before we get healthcare services, so we're not ripped off. All right, so that's the rip off of the week. Let's raise our voice, and we'll see you back here next Thursday for the next edition of the OpenTheBooks.com rip off of the week.